going on,
What's
guys, and
going
welcome to the Innovators Den. I am formerly known as Hashtag here with.
Steve O Business, and we got a special guest today. We have Sarah Elizabeth Hill.
Thanks for having me, guys. Means a lot to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about your backstory, what you've been doing, and
Ooh, backstory. God, how much time do you have?
I did read somewhere that you had sold everything that you
Mm-hmm.
owned at 25. Like, what led to
Oh, yeah.
changes?
Oh, man, what led to that? Well, okay. So, first, I'm the CEO of a company called Bobby Media. And then I'm also a podcast host. So, you guys have to come on to Log In Podcast. I'm also an author. I don't have it out yet, but it will be out this year. I have a book called Chat Shit Crazy. That is an AI book about ChatGPT. Um, so I basically have 100 jobs and very little life. But how did I end up selling all my shit at 25? I was working for a couple startups. I was working for an agency, and the agency went under. The guy actually like flashed a video of himself and his buddy without clothes on, and then tweeted it out to all of our like all of his followers who happened to be like the CEO of Nike and Google. And
Wow.
yeah, and I was their community manager then, so we had all these CEOs in our inbox being like, take it down, take it down. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And then I looked at the video and was like, great. And ultimately that company went under within like a few weeks because we lost all our clients.
Mhm.
So from there, my friend and I were like sitting on the bathroom floor, essentially like drinking margaritas, crying in Oklahoma City. The company was based in LA, but we were in Oklahoma City.
Right.
And we were like, okay, New York or LA. And then obviously, like
New
12
York,
years later, I'm still fucking here.
the Big Apple.
Uh, so I sold all my stuff, then moved to New York. Long story short, ended up doing a startup, then stayed with that startup, ended up becoming the CEO and rebranding it, becoming kind of like a co-founder, raising about 3.5 million for it. I ended up leaving that one and then started my own company, Bobby, about 7 years ago. So
And Bobby's more like a PR company.
we really do like digital media and digital media
Oh,
production.
that's
So
awesome.
our scale is pretty like lean and mean. There's 5 of us. And so it's like grab your phone and go kind of essentially. But yeah, we do traditional PR, although that's my least favorite. I think really it's digital media management. So like we make sure that people are growing online, create create accounts for them, post on those accounts, community manage, all that
So
influencer
before we
stuff.
get to this is like the cool part. But what like let's start from the beginning, like the moment you experience the first spark of how to be a storyteller and writer. Like what sparked you being a writer and a storyteller?
I don't know the moment.
Okay.
I would say when I was young, I was, my parents got divorced and like there was some like kind of drama in the household. And so I started just writing. Yeah. And I think from there, it was like this thing, this like secret, precious thing that I had.
In a diary, I'm assuming. Right?
Yeah, in like this little diary and journal, and I would write these poems, and then that I fell in love with that, and it really kind of I never stopped
But
really.
that's a lost thing now. Kids nowadays are not
No.
into a diary and anymore, or they into
Or,
social media.
or
Yeah.
writing in general, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or reading.
Yeah, or reading too. I know. It's true. That's a hard. I've never even really thought about that. 'Cause to write, you need time, like, and to be alone, it's a very like solid, solitary process, even though I wish it wasn't. Right now I'm writing, I'm alone all the time. I'm like, I fucking hate this. But it's not that collaborative. Like it is towards the end when you have your editor and all those people, but in the beginning it's just you and your pencil or your pen or your typewriter. I mean, I think only Tom Hanks writes on a typewriter, but like your computer, which I know for sure he does too, because I've heard that in an interview with he had with one of my clients, and he's like, "Yeah, I type all my books on a typewriter," and I'm like, "His book was like 500 pages. That's so wild."
Takes a
Um,
time.
it's a lot of time. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's something magical that happens when you give yourself the time and space to write. Um, it can be really like cathartic, and I don't know. Do you guys write?
Yeah, it's almost meditative.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
meditative. Sometimes you forget to because you have your phone and you
yeah,
texting and stuff. But when you write, it's like a different flow comes out of you, right? And if
yeah,
you like know how to turn off like meditation or just breathe, right? And
yeah,
then get into writing after, something happens. Like there's a connection that happens. Sometimes your mind is going too fast as you're writing, but
yeah.
still, like you start if you free write, it just beautiful things will come out.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So, what was like the first book, since we're talking about writing, what was the first book that made impact to change your life?
Hmm.
Like, which book changed your mindset?
Ooh. That's tough because I've had to read a lot of books, for myself, for my clients. We have a lot of writers,
Hmm.
and just growing up. And every once in a while, I'll find one that is like, you're not the same after.
Right.
I would say, uh, when I was little, where did it start? I mean, I read the Bible a lot because that was like what I
Oh, that's a
had.
powerful book.
Yeah, exactly. It's a powerful book. There's a lot of little stories in there that I liked. I'm trying to think early on what I was really into mystery psychic books,
Right.
really into that kind of stuff. Then later I got into like Edgar Allan Poe,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Actually, Edgar Allan Poe lived a few blocks from me. His house became like a museum, and I didn't know who he was when I was younger. I
Yeah,
didn't know about the books,
yeah.
and then I went like it's a park. Like his house is like in the middle of the
Oh,
park
okay.
in the
Bronx.
Bronx,
Yeah.
I had
right?
no idea.
Yeah.
What?
So his house is still there, Edgar Allan Poe, right? But I didn't know, right? I was just playing in the park,
Yeah.
and then there was this little tiny house that never got brought down, and there's these huge buildings around. And then I'm like, hey, what's this? And then it was a museum. So our school took us to Edgar Allan Poe. That's how I learned about Edgar Allan Poe. But his house was always there.
Wow.
So that's
Still there.
And
it's
that
still there.
that
It's
house
still there.
right. I mean, I'm guessing like he writes a lot about like in the home stuff. Like
Right.
one of my favorite ones is the Telltale Heart, and it's talking about how they buried somebody in the walls
Right.
essentially, or like paranoid that
His
they
house was so small. Funny thing that I did. If you see it,
Yeah, it's a small little.
really.
yeah, it's a really tiny house.
You know what? I don't know if he was like wealthy or not when he died. Like,
N-
was he a
I
discovered
don't
author?
think he was wealthy, and I think he was using, you know, like drugs.
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a little weird, but yeah, he has amazing books that influenced a lot of writers,
Yeah.
and it's interesting, but that's cool. That's good to know.
You mentioned the Bible. What is like your favorite story from the Bible?
Well, I used to like um Job. I liked his, it's like, oh, oh, poor me, like,
Mm.
kind of just the plight of being a human being. And I don't know, I just loved how I just love the reminder. I mean, I still love the reminder, and it doesn't really have to be like one religion. I just like kind of love being reminded about how to continue to be a better human.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just doesn't get old to me. It's hard. Like I mean it's not hard, like I'm not bad by nature, but it's like, I just life is hard, and like constantly remembering like to not lose your patience, or to not, you can do hard things, but to not like lose your cool while you're doing them, I think is important. So I always try to get a lesson.
Yeah, that book. You mentioned that book, and I nodded because that's such a powerful book, especially when you're like always looking for something wrong with
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you have going on in life. You kind of have to refocus and be thankful for what you have
Yeah.
rather than what you don't have. So,
Yeah, exactly. So
When was the first time, if you could take us back to when you found the power in your voice, whether it was in media,
oof.
writing, storytelling? When do you find your power? Like, I'm Sarah, and I know I'm the shit, and I know I can make a difference and impact in my community.
Yeah.
When was that?
I think been different at different times. So recently, I would say the last couple years, I have come through this transformation of like, it's like, yeah, I've come through this transformation that's like not just what's your voice, but what's your authentic voice. So,
Right.
it used to be like be what everyone wanted you to be, or like be this, presenter, or like I used to have this like perfectionist thing, and um, being on camera, you're like, I have to look perfect. I have to be perfect. Coming from, I grew up in Texas, so especially women there, we kind of are like groomed to be a way.
Mhm.
And so I was always like in my head, trying to fit all these different molds and make everybody happy and make everyone, you know. So I had a voice, but it wasn't until a couple years ago even that I was like, you know what? I can say the fuck, like fuck all the time. Like I do. I think that way and I want to say it. And so like, sorry, fucking sorry. So it's like there's certain times where I would say recently it's become way more powerful and way more authentic. And that feels it feels more natural. It's awesome. Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
It's also
yeah.
liberating.
Yeah, very liberating.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
actually started our, you could say, like, off the record uh
Hmm.
piece of the
It's like a new
podcast.
segment
It's a
that
new
we're
a new
starting.
segment, and we're
Okay.
just talking, and it's just somewhat liberating because we're just talking about like natural events and the way that we would naturally speak to each other. So
Yeah, and that's usually a lot more interesting anyway, right? Like, I mean, I gotta say, like the Gen Z coming up and kind of, I feel like they've been teaching us a little bit of like, hey, by the way, like, don't be stale, don't be pretentious, like, anything goes. The internet's really just like the wheels have fallen off, anything goes.
Right.
And I love that. Like, I
yeah.
absolutely love that.
But for someone who advocates for women empowerment, what do you see? How does that look for you now, not just online?
Oh, yeah. Well, the women empowerment thing has had this whole like pendulum swing from one way to the other.
Right.
There was certainly a time in my career where it was like boss bitch all the time, and like everyone wanted to be a boss bitch, and it was like, no one really thought about what the repercussions of that meant, or like
Mm,
what women were turning into in the exchange of like power. And it was such a disservice to everyone, or especially the women who were doing it, including myself. So, yeah, I mean, I think in my life, I've really adapted I find more power in the feminine than I used to, if that makes any sense. And I think, you know, women being themselves. Everyone I think has that scale of like masculinity, femininity, and certainly if I couldn't tap into my masculinity to some degree, I would not be able to work with so many like men. I mean, a lot of times I'm working with very powerful, very wealthy, very connected men, and I have to sit in that room or sit at the table and like be able to hold my own, not crumble. And if I
right.
was sitting there, I mean, there's power in women who do that. Like I think of there's a lot of women who can get away with it, but for me, it's like I can't just sit there and like drop my tissue and like pretend to cry or whatever. Like I have to like participate. And
But I mean, there's a power in polarizing, right? And using the femininity and masculinity when it needs to,
yeah,
knowing
yeah,
when
yeah.
to use
Knowing when to
it
use it.
and adapting to the environment.
Yeah, that's been a whole thing. Like if I'm on a date, or if I'm doing certain things where it's like I don't want to take the lead, I don't want to, you have to learn how to like turn it off and on. I don't know another way to explain it, or even just it's in the environment that you're in is like very, you have to be responsive to that. But I mean, when I was in my early 20s, like I cut all my hair off, I wore my glasses, like I wore boots around everywhere. I was just this like little drill sergeant. And I'm so glad I don't do that shit anymore.
In Texas, we used to.
Here in
Oh,
here,
okay. I was like, a little warm.
in startup world, and it was like, I mean, no wonder I became the CEO so quickly. I was just like really determined, and I was working a lot and hard. But yeah, now, especially being my own boss, I don't have investors anymore. That it's like, hey, I can like do whatever the fuck I want and like be a
Right.
woman.
Hmm.
Well, I think, it's a gift and a curse because when most of the time when we're young and we're trying to be successful, we're like going chasing, and we're hard on everything,
Yeah.
but we're doing it to upbring and uplift other people, other companies, right? To show that we can do, right? And then
Yeah.
we forget about us,
Yeah.
trying to elaborate on us as ourselves. And so, what was the like? What's a brief mindset shift that you had that helped you go through difficult times as a person or as a successful businesswoman?
Well, one of the big decisions I made after essentially like not paying my bills, not taking care of my body, not taking care of my brain, like I was so full in, I was so in that it was destructive to my life. And I had to work to find quote unquote balance, to some degree. And I still have to work to have balance, but making a decision that was, if I'm not okay, if I'm not thriving in my life wholeheartedly, like all the way around it, then I'm probably not going to be great at whatever that thing is I'm doing. And that's true.
Mhm.
So I started to get some hobbies and like go hang out with friends and like
Right.
pay my bills, go to the doctor, like
Mhm.
take care of yourself. You
Right.
have to take care of yourself. I know you said you have a lot of guys listening, and I know guys out there, I'm talking to you. You need to take care of yourself. You
Right.
guys are notorious for doing the like all in thing and like sleeping on their friend's couch and doing, it's hard. I get it. Like, it's admirable. I know I did it too, but like,
How do you
don't
find
do
that
it.
balance, though?
How do you find the balance? I mean, everyone's scale of balance is different, right?
Mhm.
I think you have to make time to remind yourself why you're living, right?
Right.
Like, you could die tomorrow, and if you've just spent like 12 hours behind a computer or whatever it is that you're doing, like, is that the way you want to? And the thing is, it's not just that 12 hours. Like, if you're doing that, it's going to be, you've been doing that for the last month, right? Like, that's how hard you're working all the
Right.
time. So it's like, pull back a little bit. You have to.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Perspective, check in with yourself, ask yourself, out of my physical body, what have I done? I make a practice now. I have to move at least an hour a day. I can't do it every day, but most days I do it.
Right.
What am I eating? How is my mental health today? If it's not great, maybe move the meeting, which is something I would have never said to
Wow. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
do. Yeah, you just got to take care of yourself truly and set boundaries, and know that it'll come. And sometimes it'll come faster if you do take care of yourself, right?
Right. What advice you would give women right now to find their confidence in a world where it's always pushing us for less, right? Like social media is always giving highlights, and most women and men don't find their confidence. How do you find your confidence? How
Uh, I don't know if anyone's going to want the answer to this, but I've found a lot of confidence in struggle.
right.
And struggle means that you're pushing yourself further than you would naturally be able to do.
Mhm.
So I found a ton of confidence in some of the struggles that I've been able to overcome. Uh, and that could be different for everyone, right? Like, it might be a struggle for someone to just walk out the door and go eat dinner by themselves.
Right.
And by doing that, you're going to slowly over time start to gain the confidence of like, oh, I can be by myself and I can have dinner by myself or whatever that thing
Right.
is. But yeah, I think getting out of your comfort zone, staying moving, that hopefully will lead you to confidence, trying new things out. But really, you got to dig deep and trust your gut on who you are and go for what you want.
Wow.
You mentioned that you're writing a book. How do
Mm.
you go about like scheduling yourself to write this book, especially with your busy
A week
schedule?
on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So recently, this last week has been difficult because they moved. The publisher we worked together to decide that we wanted to get the book out faster. And so in order to do that, I had to like write a book in like 30 days or something. It's just, I'm not done with it yet. So I'm like in 30 to 40 days, I'm like trying to see how much I can push more to get more days. But so then I was kind of ticked off because I was like, well, I'm going to have to change my schedule. I'm going to have to, maybe I won't be able to work out for an hour a day or whatever.
Right.
And so, yeah, I've been moving stuff around. I'm not a great writer at nighttime. So I was like, uh-oh. And I also like to work out in the morning. So now, I'm having to shuffle. And I would say me 10 years ago probably would just have not been able to do that. Or, I wrote a script even a year and a half ago, and I didn't see anyone for like 2 months. Like I just like holed up and wrote the script and then rewrites, and rewrites. And I wouldn't do that again. I mean, I was like physically nauseous. So even someone I've found balance, but then these moments happen of like big projects or things like that. I still struggle with it, but I'm doing okay with the book. Like it's,
I'm getting there.
yeah, I'm getting there. I mean, it's coming along. I'm almost done with it, and I haven't lost my life yet. So,
How do you feel, like you mentioned that the book is about AI? How do you
hmm
feel that AI has impacted like that the industry itself, like writing and authors?
oh yeah, oh man, yeah, specifically on the author side of things, it's a little wild because I know that some AI has been pulled from these like brilliant minds of authors. So I'm really conflicted about it because I love AI and I also love authors. I would say 50% of our clients at Bobby Media are authors or publishers.
Right.
Um, and they're so cool. I mean, they're all like, they're all, most of them are indie publishers, and so they're just like on the forefront of real thought leadership, doing cool shit with cool people. I just really admire them. And so to think that some of their work is getting stolen to go into this AI, whatever it is that they're not getting compensated for, I think is kind of conflicting.
Mm-hmm.
As far as AI goes, I love it. I think it's going to save people so much time in their lives. It's going to fast track your life by like 10 years. So like,
Right.
for example, the time you would need to take to go out and like talk to an accountant, right? You don't have to do that anymore. Like you could go talk to one accountant, get his opinion, go talk to another one, go talk to the third one. That would take you all fucking day, right? A week, yeah. And there'd be a lot of back and forth, etc. Now it's like you can plug it into ChatGPT and it's like you have a world of accountants, all of the ones that have ever lived and everyone who's ever thought about accounting and published something on it, all in 2 minutes, right?
Right.
That is exponentially like a time saver. So I think anything that will save you time, like as humans, anything that saves us time we end up using it like ad nauseum. So it's like social media. I don't have to go see that person and take 8 hours or 4 hours or whatever. I can just like message them on Instagram. I can just see what they're doing with their family. Like,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I think ChatGPT and AI, that's without a doubt, I think it's the future.
Right. And I don't, some people want to discredit people for using it for certain things, but I think it's still you telling it what to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you prompting it. And if you're writing a book or writing anything, you're still the one refining and then the one publishing.
Yeah.
So, you're the one curating at the end of the day.
Yeah. I know that the CEO of Barnes and Noble said that he would never put a book in a store that was written by AI. I'm like, oh my God, dude, like,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
First of all, you're like,
Yeah, he probably has books already in there.
yeah, they're in there already. Yeah.
They're already in there. You just didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I've had to be really careful because what I'm writing about is about ChatGPT and it's like trying to help people to better utilize it.
Right.
And I'm like, everyone's going to think this is AI. So I've had to make some of the stuff a little outlandish because I'm like, there's no way AI wrote this. Like, everyone who reads this will know a human being wrote this.
Right.
But yeah.
What would you like for someone that's starting to write?
hmm
They have a book, let's say, already written, and they just don't know how to go about the publishing and marketing their book, etc. How would you go about that?
Yeah.
How would you go about that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of a gate kept, like, publishing is one of those things that's kind of gate kept in the same way like other entertainment fields are.
Right.
It's not even on purpose. It's just hard to get into it. It's like not that big and it's very competitive. And so people like don't wildly share how they do it. What I can say, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's self-publishing, there's agents, there's you directly going to publishers, there's publishers querying, looking for writers on specific topics. Um, depending on what it is, I can tell you that no matter what, they're looking for audience. So no matter who you are, what you're working on, if you have a social media audience or digital media audience, that's going to improve your odds of getting a book deal exponentially. They want to know, I mean, they're a business too, right?
Right.
So they're betting on you that the amount of books, let's think about it. Let's break it down because I don't think people really do this. So let's say I'm a publisher,
Mm-hmm.
you're an author. You come to me and you say, hey, you have this great idea. I'm like, yeah, perfect, book deal. How are you going to help me market the book? What are you going to do? Like, and this is if I like the idea, okay? And you're a first time author. So this isn't like a Stephen King situation where you've a track record of people buying your book. This is like your beginning stage, okay? So, oh, you're like, okay, I don't know. This isn't you, by the way. Like you would not have this problem. But say you were like, oh, I don't know how to market. I don't know. I'm just a good writer. Then they're thinking, okay, well, that will be a lot of legwork on our end, on our marketing team, which is getting smaller and smaller and smaller by the day. So then they're like, okay, what can our marketing team, if we can predict what our marketing team can move, and let's say we think Target would also like this. So we could say Target's known for selling maybe 2,000 copies or whatever. So in their head, they're trying to do this math of how much will you make them versus how much it's going to cost them to make the book and market the book, as with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can go into the process thinking about them as a business, not just about your idea or as you as a writer, you're already ahead big time. So when you go in, you have a query letter, you have your, amazing book or whatever it is, you need to say, here's what I'll do to help you sell this book. Here are my friends who owe me favors.
Right.
Here are all the ways that I'm going to market this thing and make it a lighter lift for you. Anything like that is going to help.
Wow.
So that's just how you need to think about it. Other than that, you can go to Publishers Marketplace. That's a website where you can go and see different like names of agents and you can pitch those agents. I think it's $25 a month. ChatGPT just the other day, I was like, can you give me a list of indie publishers who specialize in like poetry? This is for a client.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to easily pull a list for her and give it to her. And it had their contact information.
Wow.
So it's like really easy now. The contact and the access is there now. You just have to do the writing and then the marketing.
And you should also come in with like your cover and stuff like that ideas, or they leave that more to them.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, sometimes, like if you're doing self-publish, you're definitely gonna have to do your own
Right.
cover and pay for a designer. Sometimes, if you have a distinct idea and it's part of the package, then you can give them your cover.
Mm-hmm.
They have art departments as well. So they can just tell their designer to do something who knows all the specs and who's used to working with the company. But so it kind of depends on the deal you strike. But yeah, essentially.
That's awesome.
You said earlier that you were the CEO of a company that you raised money.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to kind of ask you exactly what was that process like and how did that happen?
Oh man, the raising money process?
Yeah, that sounds stressful.
Oh my God, it was so.
Everybody want to know how to raise money, Sarah.
Oh man. Yeah, well, it's fucking hard and horrible. Yeah, so I was working with these Australian investors. Wouldn't recommend. First of all, the time difference is nuts. But also like I found the Australian investors to be really sketchy. I'm sure that's like obviously Australia is a big place, but I really like American investors. So
Right.
if I had to do it again, I would do that. I found the American investors to be much more ethical, and like very focused on, I don't know, like that peer pressure of doing right by people.
Right.
I don't know what integrity maybe is the right word. They had a lot of integrity. Yeah, so that process for me, when I did it, was pretty easy because they were familiar with the growth. So the reason they were interested in the company was because I had grown this audience, from 0 to, exponential, like I think it was 3.5 million people organically
On social media.
on social media. Yeah.
Okay.
When this was before like TikTok. This was kind of when Instagram was just moving. And so it was a large audience for the time, especially I was in the book author media space. And so these investors knew the woman who had started the company originally. And when she decided that she wanted me to take over, they essentially were like, look, we want you. They kind of came to me. And so that made my life easy. But then not that easy because, of course, there's a catch, right? So 2 years go by, or a year and a half goes by, and the investors are like, you need to find more investors, more investment. At this point, we were going for eyeballs, which was a huge ass mistake. Never, ever fucking do that. No matter what anyone tells you, you need money coming in your company, which is like business 101. But there was I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a time, and even like in startup land, right? In startups, they're like, oh, you don't need money coming in. Like, you know, that you have these companies that are worth like $200-300 million and they haven't sold like $1. Yeah. And so there's definitely that game to it. And so we were playing a little bit of that. And, you know, our valuation, I don't even remember, it was so I think at one point somebody was like, yeah, we're $200 million, like putting all the specs together. They're like, this company is just, it's a unicorn. We're all going to end up on a yacht, you know? Right. You're like, like in hindsight, you're just
but
like,
we're just looking at numbers, right?
Yeah, just pie in the sky numbers. Like, what's the matter? You're like, yeah, sure. So anyway, so I had, you know, these first investors. I thought I had like 10% of the business, which at that time I was like, you know, that's enough for me. I'm 26, 27. Like, that's enough for me. I'll be the CEO. I'll be the like co-founder. This audience I know like the back of my hand. I know what they respond to. So sure, I'll do this thing. And then years go by, and we need more money essentially. And so I go on this like road and pony show around the New York media scene. I was knocking on every fucking door I could. I bet I met with probably 40 or 50 different investor types, either investors or access to investors. I mean, at that time, you're just like in hustle mode. You're like 3 or 4 meetings a day, people who you think will invest. And at the time, the media sites were starting to crash. So it was like not a good time. And what would happen was I'd be in these investor meetings and they'd be like, how much of the company do you own? And I'd be like, 10%.
We want it.
Yeah. And then they would be like, oh, you don't own enough. Like, we believe in you, but where are the other, like, you know, where are the other clowns that are attached to this deal?
Right.
And I didn't know enough to know. So I was like, oh, they're in Australia. And they're like, what do they know about digital media? And I'd be like, nothing, literally nothing. I tell them everything to do. And they're like, then why don't you own more? And I'd be like, what? Yeah, what do you mean? Why don't I own more? What? And so, you know, enough of this happened. And then the investors kind of were like, we want to bring in a person like I didn't totally get along with, of course. So I was like, peace, I'm out. And yeah, they still, I mean, they're a lot around and they're still like, yeah.
Well, I think your last mistake was your best teacher, right? When it came to
for sure,
how to like pivot, and it made you smarter about the next steps he was taking.
Without a doubt. And it was really painful at the time because I'd put all my money, all my time into this thing that I was having to leave. And I chose to leave, but it didn't really feel like a choice. Like, I was like, it didn't at all feel like a choice.
Right.
And so that was another moment I had to put all my shit in storage. And then I like hiked my ass out to you know, the belly of Brooklyn and saved money and was like, what am I doing next? You know, what am I gonna do? Like, what do I want to do? What mistakes did I made? I made so many big mistakes. Like, what can I do? And then I started getting clients who were really interested in what I was doing next. And so they were
the
like,
clients were more PR clients, like branding and strategy.
Yeah, branding, strategy, social media, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So one of ours was Alan Alda. He's a host of this podcast called Clear and Vivid, and he's also a highly accomplished actor, director. He's like 82 now. I need to double check his age, but you know, he's just this incredible human being. And he was one of my first clients.
Awesome.
And yeah, and so from there, things got a lot easier.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
he
and
was
then
able to refine your presentation or his presentation as a company, and scaled his podcast, correct?
yeah, just
Awesome.
push him out there, kind of help with the angling, like the optics. I mean, it's Alan Otto, like he does it himself. It's like
Right.
the easiest job in the
Yeah,
world.
he's been in a lot of films, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So you're also a host of a podcast. Can you speak
yeah.
about that podcast? What it's about? You have
The Login
Login.
podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, I need to get you guys on there. Put you guys in the hot seat. Yeah, login's been cool. It's just been this kind of evolved out of, I don't know, like nothing. I was like, I should do a podcast. Like, why not? I'd been thinking about it for a year or so and then just decided to see what would happen. And everyone was really supportive and it kind of started taking off in a way I didn't expect. Got some legs, got some interest. And yeah, it's been a ride. It's nice when something works. Like,
yeah.
I mean, not in this way. Like, you guys are way more polished than we are for sure. Ours is like so like run and gun kind of thing. But for what it is right now, it works.
I mean the thing is, it's the quality of the conversation sometimes more than the
Hmm.
actual,
Right.
Yeah.
We learned that it's the quality of the conversation, the quality of people. Um, I think what is like one of the things you feel that, let's say your younger self was here interviewing you, what do you think she would be proud of you,
How old?
your younger self?
Like which young, like what? Give me an age.
I don't know, maybe 15.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I was so angry at 15. Um, uh, okay, let's see. At 15, I was trying to get a license. I was playing soccer, cheerleading. At 15, I remember having a lot of angst, like just wanting to get out. I was going to school in this like little like Texas town.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember like really desperately wanting to get out. And I would love to say to her, like, hey, honey, you get out and like you have so much fun, right? Like,
Mhm.
you know, I thought my life was going to be like this linear, like you graduate, you go to school, you get married, you have kids. And I want all that. But like, I didn't ever imagine. I mean, I knew I had it in me, but I didn't like know, I didn't know. It's like, what the feeling like you feel like you were like born to run or something. And then like you're like, I'm not running, I'm not running, I'm not running, I'm not running. Like at 15, I remember thinking, I'm not running, I'm not running, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing and being so anxious. And then now I'm like, hey, you get to do that, by the way.
Well,
That's so fun.
you ran to be the president of your own company.
Yeah, exactly. Like you get to run, you get to go, do whatever you want, and have so much fun. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
especially life in New York is so fun. Like
Right.
the people here, the things that you can do. Like it's hard, don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah,
it's fun.
Well, it's a jungle.
Yeah,
a lot to
yeah,
do,
yeah. There's a lot to do.
and quite a lot of entertainment for if you're looking for it. So
Anything you want, literally anything you
That's
want.
the hard part about New York. You can focus, right? You could be on your couch for a week, writing a book, or on your
Yeah,
computer for 12 hours, but it's easy to just, there's so many places to go here,
well,
like
that's
24 hours.
yeah, yeah. It's
There's
true.
there's somewhere to go. There's always a distraction, entertainment, but like you said, sometimes you got to get away from the push, 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 and go, 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 and then just say, hey, I'm gonna go to a play, or I'm gonna go to this art gallery, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
to a museum, I'm gonna go for a walk at Central Park, and just be with you. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
And be inspired by like other minds. I think that is so crucial. And in New York, you can do that just by walking down the street.
Right. At Starbucks, you could be
Yeah, yeah.
inspired.
True.
What inspires you?
I would say people for sure. Like I'm inspired most by other people. Um, yeah, I mean, people, books, art. Uh, I love art. Like I never ever get sick of looking at what people create, I guess. So, and I also love like entrepreneurship journey. I love hearing where people are in their journey of creating things. I love business and information. I'm just like a sponge when it comes to information.
what's your favorite museum here in the city?
I go to the Whitney a lot.
Okay.
So yeah.
I hear that a lot. I
Yeah.
haven't been yet.
Oh, you have to go. Oh my God, that's so
Lived here
outrageous.
all my life.
Yeah. I like the Whitney.
I've heard that one and the Guggenheim.
Yeah, the Guggenheim's nice too.
What are 3 women that have inspired you?
Well, my mom, of course, big
Awesome.
time. Yeah. She's just been a constant cheerleader. I'm so grateful for her. My mom, my grandmother, who I named my company after, Bobby, Barbara.
Awesome.
Um, who else? Like, there's a lot of women out there who have inspired me, who are like, famous. And I used to love Oprah. Um, I love the founder of Spanx. I forgot her name. Sarah, I forgot her name. But they help seeing them and doing what they're doing. Like the Shonda Rhimes, I love her. But I recently have just kind of fallen in love with the women that I have in my own circle. They're amazing. And I feel like if you're constantly looking at these like famous women, then you're kind of for maybe not seeing the power and beauty in the women that are actually there supporting you. And so recently I've tried to become better at that. And I'm just amazed at all the things that like my friends are doing. They're
Right.
awesome.
You are the sum of the 5 people that you surround you.
Yeah.
That's very important as a creative. Uh, what's a book that you would recommend uh, for women or anybody watching, right? That can help them in their creative and their entrepreneurship
Mm.
Journeys.
Yeah, in their
Yep.
journey.
Have you read?
There's Never Split the Difference.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's a good one on negotiating. I find negotiating to be a little tough. And that
Part
one's
of the deal.
The Art of the Deal. There you go. That's a good old Trump book for you. I found The Artist's Way is a good one if you're trying to work out kind of where to go, what to do next. I've recently been on this kick of meditations that's like way more about kind of stoicism.
Right.
I'm not stoic by any means, but I really love the idea of stoicism. Like, I love that idea of like being somewhat unbothered by the world around you, particularly if you're trying to do hard things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then it's like it's not always going to swing your way, and being able to learn how to better cope with that means you can do more hard things more easily. And so I've really tried to embrace that. What else? I mean, yeah, I would say start with those. Any kind of like self-help, self-reflection, I think is good for entrepreneurs. We're always in our own shit. And it's like, if you don't get out of your own head or work on your own issues, then you're going to impact everyone around you, all the people you're paying, all of your customers. Like, you've got to kind of get that sorted out.
Right. Wow, Sarah.
Now, if someone wanted to work with Bobby Media, how can they reach you guys?
You can find us on Instagram. I think it's Bobby Media _. You can reach out to me on Instagram. You can go to our website, bobbymedia.com. Yeah, those you'll find us. Yeah, through one of those.
What's your Instagram?
I'm at Sarah Elizabeth Hill.
Sarah Elizabeth Hill.
Yeah,
That
Sarah Elizabeth Hill. Let me be clear. I was telling them earlier, like, I hate that I have to say Sarah Elizabeth Hill because it kind of sounds so pretentious. And the other thing is, though, there's like a million Sarah Hills. Like Google Sarah Hill and see what happens. There's like so many. Google Sarah Elizabeth Hill, and there's still a lot of those. There was a girl in my high school named Sarah Elizabeth Hill also. So there's a ton of those. But that's easier than Sarah Hill. So, it's like the most generic name. But yeah, Sarah Elizabeth Hill.
Well, there you go, guys. We have an amazing episode, and it's a wrap on the Innovators then.
We'll see you guys in the Logging Podcast.
Yeah, exactly. See you guys soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Make sure to follow, share, like, hit the reminder button, etc. Thank you so much. Let's go.